I'm Brian.
I'm Corie.
And
we're married.
And we're working on immigration for Corie to move to the United States of America.
Yeah, so we have made a couple videos already outlining the process we've been going through, and we've kind of realized we haven't given an update in a while, and so that's what we aim to do in this video today. And I think the main reason we haven't given an update, well, in my opinion, is it's been a slow moving wheel.
There hasn't been any big changes.
Yeah, no big changes. But we were talking to somebody yesterday, and he kind of reminded us that to be as transparent with even the lengths of time where there's no change. Like, I think it's our goal with these videos is to give people a realistic perspective on what this whole process is like. So we'll give a little recap and then maybe just tell you where we're at currently.
So we got married December 17th of 2022.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter
which was beautiful.
What was our wedding, yeah. It was raining.
It was freezing cold.
We did it outside. Anyways, and then shortly thereafter, we met with an immigration attorney. No?
We met with the immigration attorney
before,
and that was sort of the moment where we're like, we knew we wanted to get married, but that was the catalyst to get our butts moving and kind of just get married.
Yeah.
So, and the reason we did that in the way that we did is so that we would then be able to apply for the I-130 visa, which is for Americans to sponsor a family member into the States. And so as soon as we became married and I became Brian's wife, I was then considered family, and we could move forward with applying for the visa.
And we chose to do that because Corie has a senior father that she would love to be able to see on a regular basis. And we were nervous that if we had gone any other direction, that if we had, I don't know what the other applications are called, but
it's the same application. So there's two different ways to approach the I-130 visa. I could move to the United States anytime and then start the application process in the States.
But you wouldn't have been able to leave the United States. Or work, yeah.
So
that was for a considerable amount of time.
So we'll get to that what considerable amount of time is from our experiences so far. But yeah, so it would have been the same application, but some people are just gunning to live together, get on with their lives. And so we could have done it that way, but based on personal circumstance, working, being close to family, I didn't necessarily feel like jumping the gun quite so fast was going to be the best option.
Yeah, so she has continued to live here in Victoria, BC, and we just hop on the ferry and go back and forth visiting each other at least once a month.
Yeah, Brian's living in Port Townsend, Washington.
Yeah, so it's usually on long weekends, and that seems to work out pretty well for us. And other than that, we talk every night on the phone, on FaceTime, and
yeah, Brian has a bit more flexibility in his schedule, so when he comes here, he can often stay a little bit longer, which is really nice. And yeah, it's all we know at this point in our relationship. We've only ever done long distance, so we're getting pretty good at it, I would say. But we are excited for the day where...
It's amazing how frequently we run into people on the ferry that are doing exactly what it is, or having these relations in the same fashion. But some people are driving from a lot further than I am. Well, like one guy was coming all the way from Everett, and so he must have had to been taking like 2 ferries.
I think he was driving 3 to 4 hours, is what he was saying.
Oh, okay,
or
yeah.
His girlfriend was saying.
And then the guy that we met yesterday was coming from like Olympia and driving all the way to Port Angeles and taking the Blackball ferry to Victoria.
Yeah. So it's actually been really fun to share these experiences with people who are going through it and who can. We haven't met anyone. Oh no, we met the one guy one time who actually married a Canadian.
Yeah, he was the one that was like a contractor, and he was like selling. I think he did like sliding doors, and that was like one of his specialties, and maybe even had a patent on some sliders. The hardware for sliding doors, and he had been coming over to Victoria, and he was doing some construction work while he was here, I guess, and maybe getting paid under the table. And he said that the authorities had taken his cell phone and told him that he wasn't going to be allowed to see his wife if he didn't provide them the password to his phone. And so he provided the password to his phone, and then they were able to find out that he had been working, and I think they like did the crackdown on him.
And I mean, we're just getting to know all these different unique circumstances where people are like trying to make the long distance work.
Yeah.
And so my brother and sister-in-law are another example where my brother's Canadian like me, and he is now married to a woman named Melissa. Someone's calling me.
Yeah.
And Melissa's living in Port Angeles. My brother's living here in Victoria. Technical difficulties with Brian and a phone.
25.
Yeah. So I was saying that my brother married an American, and they oh my god. Well, that part's not even in the frame. So Melissa will be moving to Canada, and so they're in the process of applying for her to move here. However, in the meantime, they're kind of like, okay, like let's get this ball rolling. So in the meantime, she is now applying for a work visa to then be able to get here faster, and we don't know like the ins and outs of that whole process. But like more and more, we are like learning about people who are trying to navigate this long distance, specifically between Victoria and Washington State.
And I know for us, like we've had just like so many questions, and it's been difficult to find answers.
Yeah.
So kind of like where we currently stand, or where we've been for the last like so many months.
So tell them.
There had been like a countdown. Like we were checking the USCIS.
When you submit your application.
Yeah, we've submitted our application. We're checking the United States Immigration Status
Center.
Whatever.
USCIS.
It's USCIS, and if you pull that up, you'll see.
Federal government.
It's the government. So we punch in our username and our password, and then it gives us a code, and then punch in the code, and then we check our actual status update.
And we applied as of January 7th.
Yeah.
So that's when we first submitted our application.
Yep. And in the period of time of January 27th till now, which is September 16th, we've watched it go anywhere from like, I think that at the very beginning, it said 3 months.
Yeah, right as soon as we submitted it, it was like 3 months, and you'll have more information on your application.
And then it went to 9 months.
Jumped up to 9.
Yep. And then at some point in time, it went back to 3 months. And then it was counting down.
Pretty consistently.
And it counted all the way down to like days.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing like 1 week, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like.
And Brian is checking it every day.
I check it every day. Yeah.
Because for a while it was really unpredictable, and it was jumping all over the place. But then we learned, like, once we kind of hit the 3-month marker, it was pretty consistently just going a month at a time.
And it was giving us like a ton of hope. And,
Excitement.
and then it got down to 1 day, and then it went to, you're at a stalemate, basically. Like,
so the countdown went away, and it has just this like steady statement that says like your application is taking longer
than
expected. There's nothing you need to do on your end.
And that's all it says. And so like it just gave us nothing but false hope. And
yeah, I guess our frustration was that
she doesn't want me to say something.
He's been a little.
I don't appreciate the false hope.
No, he does not appreciate that. Neither do I. And we got, I guess we questioned like what was the point of that countdown if now we're left in this limbo with like could it be another 9 months? Could it be another couple weeks? So one piece of information that has kind of illuminated more information is my girlfriend Jen. Hey Jen. Is married to an American. So she's living in Winnipeg. He's living in North Dakota. And she will be moving to North Dakota. And she, I guess, had a friend go through the similar situation. And, I think she figured this out on her own. Basically, when you submit your application, the only thing they give you is a receipt. And it basically is just saying like you paid your $500 and whatever dollars for the visa. But if you go all the way down to the very bottom of the PDF, it tells you which USCIS processing center, so which visa processing center your application went through. So Jen's, I believe, went through like Delaware or Arkansas or something. I guess it's just based on where they are on the map, and there's probably only a certain number of these centers across the states. So we looked at ours, and ours went through the Texas center. And what you can then do is look up the Texas like service center, and it will give you more accurate timelines for how long the applications take depending on which center it goes through. So when we looked at like the Delaware one, it was like 14 and a half to 17 and a half months or something like that. And Brian was originally really skeptical because he just associated Texas with being a pretty big hub for immigration applications, and initially was worried like, oh God, that's going to be like a really busy one.
I mean, what other place on planet Earth is getting more applications for
than Texas?
Yeah, that's
where they're situated is like right next to Mexico.
It doesn't make sense that it would like be one of the fastest processing centers.
But it is. It according to their
well, I guess we'll
timeline,
be finding, yeah.
So according to the what it says about the Texas one is that it was like 13 and a half to 17 and a half months, which was, I went through every single one to look at the different timelines for each center, and Texas was the shortest.
I'm still skeptical.
And that's fair. And I mean, we don't have a lot of like trust, hope, faith in these systems because they're not communicating with us. And there's so much we don't know, and there's so much that is left in the dark. So we are just still in the waiting game. We've been, so now end of January to mid September, we're in around the 9-month mark of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, big picture, me tries to like really put that in perspective and think like that's just a drop in the bucket in terms of time. But it has felt like this past year, like living in Victoria, working at my job, like having an apartment, like having Brian and the life we want is on hold, in some respects.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. There's certain things that we can't move forward with.
We don't know how to plan for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us the ability or the option to plan.
Yeah.
Not being given like any a more like solid timeline.
Yeah, or like a human connection to...
Like examples of like, okay, if your lifestyle is somewhat like this, like, you know, work-wise, and you don't really have like any legal issues or anything, you know, you could expect it to actually go through within this period of time. They don't give you like any kind of examples.
Yeah.
So that's one of our big reasons of trying to give this scenario, is like, this is like our story.
Mm-hmm.
And we have written up like a draft
letter,
and thinking about trying to send a letter to either our state senator, the Washington state senator, or the governor, or I don't even know.
Congress, was it?
Our congressman?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, we were speaking with a couple different friends who shared that could be a way of self-advocating. So if we really feel like the time has just gone on and we're just feeling lost and like there's no way of really contacting like the government, that could be a way where a state senator or state congress could push the application forward. And it's hard because I feel like my initial feeling is like, oh, like do we really deserve like special considerations? But
is it that damn special? Like, all we want to do is start a family, it's like, come on.
Yeah, I think that's just me not wanting to like...
You're a people pleaser.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah, and we aren't here to try to please these people other than like,
we're doing as we're told.
It's for us.
Yeah. We're playing the game.
I guess. It doesn't feel like a great game. So,
but it's also not like doom and gloom.
No.
Like, we're okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought might be worthwhile to mention is that we were reading up on the kind of like next steps, and a lot of it is like still not really clear information, but once we get down to like, okay, yes, you're on to the next stage of your application, like I don't just get a visa. There's still an interview, there's still a medical exam, there's still financial like documentation that Brian will need to provide. So it's like, we're not even clear on like, okay, we've made it this far with this step.
Right.
But like, there's no like clear trajectory of like, these are all the next steps.
Yeah, for all we know, if we do want to start a family, we may have to change course at some time. She hadn't even registered that one. Like, it's still like processing.
I don't know what you mean.
Like, we may not, because it's not like you can't move to me.
Mm-hmm.
We're a married couple, and you can very well move to me. But if we wanted to, the only reason why we're doing that is for like work purposes and citizenship.
Doing what?
You moving directly to me. Like,
the only
you
reason...
can move to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how this works.
It's not totally true. Like,
what do you mean? Why wouldn't you be able to just move to me right now? You can.
I know, we already talked about this in this video.
Yeah.
So this is the point where we sometimes get to, where it's like oversimplifying like the complexity. Because yes, it's true, I could get up and move, but as we already mentioned, I wouldn't be able to work, I wouldn't be able to come home, I wouldn't be able to see my dad. That's why we're not doing it. But what you're saying is that like, hey, if time is ticking, we want to have a family, like things may need to shift and we may need to like restructure and reorganize.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, there's still options available, and like we have just stayed on this one path and we are trying to see this path through.
Mm-hmm.
And so far we haven't taken any risk to like getting off the path. And I would say that at this rate, like we are on track, like we're 9 months in. And like it could be within the next 4 months that we learn information about the next steps. And
We may have to fly to Toronto. Montreal. Same difference.
Which is where we've heard the interviews take place. And so, so the whole point of the visa, I guess I feel a little all over the place with this, but the whole point of the visa is to give me that piece of paper that will not only let me move to the States with more than just a traveler's visa, which is you can stay in the States for up to 6 months per year on just no visa. They call it a traveler's visa, but you don't, between Canada and the United States, you don't actually need a visa to travel. But they do track how much time you've spent in the States. So without anything, I can stay in the United States for up to 6 months a year. However, with the visa, that goes away, so I can just move to the States and start building a life. And the visa will allow me to apply for permanent residency, or a green card. So it's that visa, which is why we're we need this visa, that will then allow me to take the next steps to permanently living in the United States without needing to come back, and allows the permanent residency allows me to work.
Yeah. She need to make me some money. Okay.
So in short, we have just been basically waiting for 9 months without any updates from the government. We are pooling information from various places, and we are trying to stick to this course and to trust the process, even though we're putting kind of a lot of blind faith into it at times.
I-130.
And yeah, is there anything else that would bring folks up to speed?
I'm still kind of checking that status frequently, not on the daily, but maybe we, finish up that letter. I have notes on who I think I might end up sending the letter to.
And in that letter, we really are just stating our situation, our case, and there's a part of me that kind of wants to be to kind of promote why this would be beneficial, and what I can bring to the economy, but also we want to start a family, we want to have a baby, and there is just that undeniable biological clock. I am 37. There's the window does feel it is getting smaller and smaller, and it's a lot to think about, moving to the United States, starting a career, starting a family. It feels like there's just sort of time pressure that, if we can alleviate some of that pressure by speeding up this process, we would like to. And there's no harm in exploring those options. And if we can have someone advocate for us, we would happily accept. So, congressmen and senators of Washington, if you're watching this,
help us, bro.
Hit us up in the comment section.
Yeah, how do we send this directly to forget the letter, let's just send them the YouTube video.
Yeah, so that's it. That's where we're at. And I do feel that, we are kind of at the tail end of the long wait. I do feel things are gonna start moving, and maybe just doing this video is gonna trigger a shift in the energy.
The laws of attraction
Yes.
shall apply.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if this is something that you know anything about, if you have any personal experience, we're always happy to have those conversations and learn more. If anything, we're just curious about the way people live and how they got to where they are. And
well, this is episode 4 or 5. I don't even know how many times we've done it.
3.
3 maybe? Okay. There's previous videos so you can see what we talk about.
Yeah.
At various stages. So we're learning as we go along too. So
yeah, and this is really just a video documentation of real life.
Yeah, just trying to be upfront and let people know what it's like for us, and hopefully it's helpful to you as well.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.